These kind of events are a fiasco to me. This is idiots taking themselves far too serious.
Rock against the rich. These are all Joe Strummer worlds, you know. I've moved on, but a lot of the foolish haven't, and they're still stuck there. And that explains Green Day. You know, there's a band that haven't come up with anything in their own. What they literally are is a coat hanger with a studded leather jacket stuck on it. Right? And I think it's parody and it's a shame.
You probably think John Lydon, aka Johnny Rotten, was just that angry punk with the spiked hair and the snarl, always barking at the music world like a street dog chasing cars. But that's where most people get it wrong. See, when he showed up wearing that I Hate Pink Floyd shirt, that wasn't just a fashion choice. That was a statement, loud, direct, and dangerous. In the mid-70s, Pink Floyd weren't just a band. They were untouchable, rock royalty, stadium-filling, critics-worshipped, millionaire mystics wrapped in lights and concept albums. And Johnny Rotten? He walked in, middle finger up, spray painting graffiti on the Temple of Rock. To him, Pink Floyd represented everything that had gone stale. Rock stars who once stood for rebellion but now lived in mansions. He didn't hate the music from the start. He even respected the early stuff, especially Syd Barrett's wild genius. But the Floyd that stayed after Syd? To Lydon, that was bloated, pretentious sound art. Self-serious, safe, and worst of all, disconnected. And that's what really set him off. Not just the sound, but what the sound had come to mean. Lydon saw a whole industry dressing up middle-class white boys in working-class anger and blues-based soul. Music that came from pain, struggle, and raw life experience. Then selling it to the suburbs like rebellion in a box. They put white faces on black music, he once said, and took all the credit. To him, that wasn't just wrong, it was theft. Culture theft, stripped of context, sanitized for the masses. But this wasn't blind rage. Lydon was precise with his fire. When he went at Joe Strummer from The Clash, it wasn't because he hated the music. It was because he hated the act. Strummer came from private school, money, and polished family life, but wore the leather and shouted into mics about working-class struggle. To Lydon, that was punk cosplay. He didn't believe rebellion could be borrowed. If you didn't live it, you didn't get to shout about it. Punk wasn't a genre, it was survival. And Lydon had lived it. Poverty, illness, abuse, a father who worked in construction, and time in care homes. This wasn't a backdrop for him. It was his origin story. So when Billy Idol joined Lydon's ex-bandmates, Steve Jones and Paul Cook in Generation Sex, trying to revive the Sex Pistols' magic years later, Lydon wasn't impressed. He didn't just see a reunion, he saw a gimmick, a knockoff, a cash-in on something that was never meant to be packaged. "It's a clown circus," he said. "Pathetic." And when the Pistol TV series dropped, a dramatized version of the band's rise, Lydon lost it. Not just because he wasn't involved, but because it used his words, his songs, his life, without asking. He sued, he lost. But he didn't quiet down. That's not in his DNA. He called it out as fake, greedy, opportunistic. He said his bandmates sold him out, that they were trying to rewrite the story without the guy who wrote half the script. Then came Kneecap, the Irish-language rap trio, repping political rebellion and comparing themselves to the Sex Pistols. Lydon? He tore them to pieces. "I absolutely loathe them," he said. He didn't care about their accents or their language. He cared about what he saw as posturing. Rebellion, packaged again, anger for the cameras. To Lydon, that wasn't punk. That was branding. Because here's the thing about John Lydon. Love him or hate him, he's always about one thing: truth. No filters, no frills, just the truth as he sees it. And in his world, music has to be human. Vulnerable, messy. You want to sing? Then sing. No auto-tune, no tracks, no backing vocals from a laptop. If you can't sing it, he said, don't sing it. To him, studio trickery wasn't just a shortcut, it was lying. A way for people without the soul to fake the sound. He saw it everywhere. Pop stars who couldn't hold a note live, rappers who mimed bars they didn't write, bands that hit play instead of picking up instruments. To Lydon, the show didn't start until the first mistake hit the mic. So yeah, he's pissed. Still, at 68 years old, John Lydon is still on the warpath, not for fame, not for nostalgia, but for the soul of the music he once helped tear open. He's not against change. He's not anti-progress. But if you step up claiming to be punk, claiming to be working class, claiming to be real, you better come correct. Because to him, punk was never about the fashion or the noise. It was about standing on stage, stripping down the noise and saying, "This is who I am. Take it or leave it." And Lydon, he's never left it. So next time somebody drops the word punk like it's a logo, like it's a style, they might want to ask themselves the same question Johnny's been asking since day one. Are you the real deal or just playing dress up?